Welcome.
Welcome to the first ever recorded audio session of Colin and Josh.
I'm Josh.
I'm Colin.
Hi.
And we're really energetic and full of life today, and it's definitely not early.
That's right.
Well, okay, it's midday, but I wake up late, so it's early for me.
I typically try to wake up around noon as well, so that's okay.
Okay, so we're good. And we got special guest Charlie, my dog, here.
He's a pretty good dog.
Yes. Anyway, so
what's this podcast about?
here's the deal. Me and Josh did a show called Digibaka.
8,000 years ago.
Yes, 8,000 years ago. It was a gaming show, a Let's Play type deal, and it was going pretty well, but our editor went into the military.
And he died.
Yes, and he went to
Chris,
Korea. He went to Korea. Unfortunately, he was a casualty.
He was also a filthy casual.
Yes. Yeah. So we don't talk to him anymore, A, because he's a filthy casual, and B, because he's dead.
Yeah.
So we decided that since Digibaka is not really a thing anymore,
Or at least it won't be for a while.
and it won't be for a while, we wanted to still. Me and Josh have a lot of conversations about music and movies, and we thought, I'm gonna bang the table as much as I can.
I hate you so much.
Josh is just grabbing my hand, don't do that.
You're the bane of my existence.
Yeah. We just wanted to give a podcast a shot, see if it's our forte. It might not be, maybe, who knows.
Are you having a good time?
I'm having a great time.
I'm having a pretty good time too.
So the structure I was thinking of this is half movie, half music.
And I was thinking laid back as hell.
Yeah, this first episode's going to be extremely casual, pretty much just for friends and family.
Should we invite Chris?
He's dead.
Right, but he's also a casual, so.
Right. Maybe. I don't know. If you want to get a Ouija board out or something.
Nah, that's too much work.
Right.
Anyway.
So,
what have you been watching lately, Colin?
Good segue.
Thanks.
So,
anything interesting?
Let's just kick this right off with the first half. I think we should make movie themed.
Well, good. I picked the right one.
Perfect. We just saw Kingsman 2.
I didn't.
Okay, so I just saw Kingsman 2 and you were asleep apparently.
No, I love Kingsman 2. It was great.
Me and Josh went to go see Kingsman 2 and I
starring British man.
Yeah, starring who's that guy? He's got a really weird name. The guy that plays Eggsy.
British man 101.
Channing Tatum, that's it.
Yes. All right, so starring Channing Tatum, who's in the movie all about 5 minutes.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed with the lack of Channing Tatum because
spoiler alert,
he dances.
Yes, he dances. He does end up dancing.
That was the best part of the movie.
I did have a really good time.
And that actually ties in with one of the things. What, you want to say something?
Are we going to spoil anything about these
movies? No. Keep it spoiler free.
All right, so he dances.
Yes.
It's real good.
Yes. Actually, I was going to talk about something, but it would require spoiling, so I'm not going to.
Well, is it a big spoiler?
Not really. All right, I'll go for it.
Minor spoiler alert.
Minor spoiler alert. This movie has very disturbing elements, but it does it in a funny way.
And Elton John.
I
love Elton John.
And I appreciate that. The first Kingsman, I think, in my opinion...
You know what it was missing?
What?
Elton John.
That's true. It did not have Elton John, that's true. It also didn't have Jeff Bridges or Channing Tatum.
That's true. You know what?
But this second movie doesn't have Samuel L. Jackson. Spoiler alert. If you've seen the first one, it's not a big spoiler, but what I was going to say, the first movie, my only real gripe with this, and I know I'm definitely in the minority, it's when it went messed up and disturbing, it was a little, I don't know, I didn't find it as lighthearted, and I'm just a jovial guy. I like having fun. In the second one, they had a real definite sense of humor about it, and I appreciated it. And there was probably a sense of humor about it in the first one. It's just,
I think so.
Yeah, I'm just a sensitive butterfly, so...
So, without giving it a number rating, how'd you like Kingsman 2?
I'm also in the minority here. I think it was more fun than Kingsman 1. I think I had more of a good time watching it.
All right.
But it's nowhere near as good a movie as Kingsman 1. Kingsman 1 is definitely more well constructed, and it's more surprising.
I can see that, yeah.
Kingsman 2 is sort of Kingsman again, except without a lot of the things that make Kingsman interesting, but the action sequences are phenomenal. Like, it is one of the most fun
Spoiler
movies.
alert, there's a laser whip.
There's a laser whip.
If you didn't see the trailer,
Yeah.
it also showed the laser whip.
Yeah.
It was quite interesting. I enjoyed the laser whip.
Yeah. That's the perfect thing to transition into a very similar movie that we saw recently. Very much like Kingsman 2.
Yeah,
Mother.
definitely. Mother. It's nearly an identical copy.
Yes.
It's action-packed. It's filled with laser whips.
Yes. Yeah, you remember that scene where they brought the laser whip out? It felt really out of place, but I was like, I'm going with it.
And then Jennifer Lawrence just screamed, "Mother!" And then she whipped somebody with a laser whip.
Remember how Glenn Danzig did the soundtrack?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
Oh, that soundtrack was top.
What we're doing here is exactly what the trailers tried to do for Mother, which is lie to you about what kind of movie it is.
That was a great segue.
Yes.
That was a much better segue.
Thank you. It took zero effort. I just came out of nowhere.
Left field.
Yes. I didn't. I didn't plan that. You know, I didn't plan that.
We're gonna do an entire separate episode on Mother.
I even have in my notes here light discussion on Mother because we're gonna do an entire episode on Mother very soon, as soon as we can.
Yeah,
because we really loved Mother, and it's come to my attention that a lot of people hated it. This could be just my opinion
and mine.
I think poor marketing is to blame. I think very, very understandably, the marketing for this movie was god awful.
It was
like because what it seemed like. That was I tripped on my words there.
what it seemed.
What the trailers made it look like is this intense, frenetic, just thrill ride horror movie, and what we got is a really
Darren Aronofsky.
It's a Darren Aronofsky film. It's really slow. It's really introspective. It's incredibly artsy.
Yeah.
It's not what general audiences want from a horror movie.
Not at all.
And
typically.
You'd think I'd be bitter about people hating it for that reason, but I'm not even really that bitter because when it's marketed like that, people can be excused for being like, well, that's not what I paid to see.
It's very understandable why people are very against it at this point, with it being shown as like the next It with jump scares.
Right, yeah.
There was jump scares in the trailer, but not the movie at all.
There's a jump scare in the trailer that, like, it's edited to be a jump scare in the trailer, but in the movie, the editing is different. It's not a jump scare in the movie. It's just, like, this really subtle thing. But in the trailer, it's like, boom! It's, like, intent to jump, you know?
Yeah. So we're going to be doing a whole episode on that and why we love it and why we think it isn't doing as well. But for now, let's move on to our next topic.
Yes.
Which is
incredibly left field again. Like I said, this is casual. Is the Dollars trilogy? I think that's what it's called. Yeah. The Western trilogy that started with a fistful of dollars, then a few dollars more, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. The reason I say that is I just watched For a Few Dollars More, the second one.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of the three of them?
I think I did a long time ago.
Right, yeah. Like, most people saw them when they were kids. But I'm just now seeing them for the first time. I saw The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly very recently. I loved it. Excellent Western film. Everybody go see it if you haven't already.
Almost as good as the Magnificent Seven remake with Chris Pratt and the other black guy.
It didn't quite get that good. But
Denzel Washington.
The other Wesley Snipes.
He's not allowed out of prison.
Washington. Okay, yeah.
He's got tax fraud still, doesn't he?
I was not a fan of that movie.
Oh, I thought you were going to say I'm not a fan of Wesley Snipes.
He's okay. He kills vampires.
Is he still in prison for tax fraud?
Is he?
He was.
He might be. I don't know.
Maybe I'm getting it wrong.
You take over discussion about Westerns, and I'll Google
Westerns are kind of neat. I really enjoy them. Like, okay, so my thing with Westerns and like old-time fantasy stuff is that the outfit design intrigues me so much. So when you have a Western character and they're like a cowboy, they got the boots, they got the spurs, they got the pants, they got the assless chaps, they got the vest, they got the shirt.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about why I really like Westerns, okay? Hold your horse. So they got the vests, then the hat, and the belts, and the holsters, and the pistols, and they have all this setup and design for the clothing for that. Like, in Victorian age, they have a lot of that kind of stuff. And that really intrigues me. Nice. And so just getting to see that in Western films always really interested me.
Sorry to interrupt, but newsflash, there's a movie in 2017 with Wesley Snipes in it. Armed Response is what it's called. Fun fact. Anyway, continue.
So anyway, like when Denzel Washington just walks out in the Magnificent Seven and he's got this whole get-up going on, I'm like, wow, I want to look like that. And then I realize I'm a fat white kid in Minnesota, and that's not going to happen.
Yeah, and then you're, like me, another fat white kid in Minnesota, and you just go out and make a Western, like I did.
Exactly.
And it
East
of Enchilada. Yeah, I made a Western.
I've seen it. It was interesting. I had a good time.
Yeah. Well, it's only like 7 minutes long. It's a very short film, but
it was
that
fun.
Was fun to make.
I bet it was.
Yeah.
People got shot.
People did get shot. It was very violent. Which was, you know what surprised me about East of Enchilada? This is kind of a tangent. We thought it was a student project. We did it for a high school multimedia thing, and we went way all out on it. Like, most people didn't put any effort into their project, and we got props. We wrote a screenplay. We shot it over the course of like a whole day. And it's a
one whole day,
and it took a whole another day to edit it all together. We really went all out on it.
Well, I mean, for a
7-minute thing,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, and we like shot on location. You know, we went to different areas to shoot different. Like we went to a shooting range so that we had a shotgun that shot live rounds on screen. It was a real shotgun, and it wasn't even a blank. We were shooting live rounds. Like, we loved the authenticity of it. And
the kick.
Yeah, exactly. And we thought, and like most of the characters die. Like, it's just this,
all
like,
but one.
It's just this. Well, my character didn't die, and the cowboy didn't die.
Okay, so 2.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, if you ever see East of Enchilada, you can blame Colin here for spoiling it all for you.
But like the other characters died, and we thought like it would be too violent, but it was one of the least violent movies shown in class. Most every group of guys, like the girls did more subtle films, I want to say, except for the one group of girls that they just recreated the ending of Blair Witch, but it was just like them in a dark room, like flailing the camera around.
Hey, that sounds like every horror movie in the past 4 years.
That's true. But yeah, like every other like film was like action. All the guys did action films where there was a bunch of shootouts, and it was with airsoft guns, of course.
Of course.
Like, we felt proud because it was just like ours got shown after all those, and like people see like the real guns and like, whoa, and then like the shotgun actually fires. And we had this excellent shot where the shell, after it was ejected from the shotgun, it hits the camera lens. It's very... Oh, man. There were so many things that went right with that movie. Anyway.
Yeah, it sounds like it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to do. Anyway, that was a huge tangent. But what I'm saying is I just saw it for a few dollars more.
And you should go see East of Enchilada at your nearest convenience.
Yes, which is not online. So,
or anywhere.
So good luck. I should just upload that to my channel.
You should.
Because, I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just saw it for a few dollars more, and it is amazing. I'm going to go see A Fistful of Dollars, and this might be one of my new favorite trilogies because it's incredible.
I just saw Hell and High Water. Which
Really?
is another kind of like pseudo...
Yeah, it's like a modern Western.
Which I thought that movie was great.
Yeah, I really loved it. I've seen it 3 times at this point. It's great.
Yeah, no, I loved it. The acting in it was really good. The Jeff Bridges was my favorite Jeff Bridges I've seen ever, I think, maybe.
Yeah, fair enough.
Even over...
He was pretty good.
The Big Lebowski.
I still think The Dude is probably my favorite role of his. But
I mean,
he did good.
It's really good, but I really love old Jeff Bridges stuff.
Yeah,
just because
like in Kingsman, he played a pretty similar character.
Yeah. Except not as hateful.
Yeah, right.
Which always gotta connect with them hateful, spiteful people.
Yeah, we're pretty on track time wise, so you want to keep it moving along. This is going to be a you segment.
I actually want to just throw a little left field in there again.
Okay, go ahead.
And I'm gonna say I watched The Matrix again.
Have you read my screen?
Do you have The Matrix on your screen?
Right after Dollars Trilogy. It's the
oh
Matrix
my god!
right
Are you kidding me? Wow!
Because you mention it every 20 seconds. You're like, I just watched The Matrix again.
Did I?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, dang.
Well, we were listening to Rage Against the Machine the other day, and you're speaking of Rage Against the Machine, I watched The Matrix again. I was like, can you see my screen?
No, I can't. Not at all, actually.
Okay, perfect.
So it's my segment.
Yeah, that's your segment.
I saw The Matrix the other day.
Yeah. The Matrix is one of my favorite movies. What do you think about it?
This is the second or third time I've seen it.
I think the first time you watched it was with me.
It was.
And I think it was because I was like... I think we were just talking casually one night, and I was like, "Oh, it's like that scene in The Matrix." And
I'm like, "I've never seen The Matrix."
I was like, "Oh, we're watching it." I think we went out and rented it and watched it that night.
Probably.
Yeah.
And so I've now seen The Matrix a few times, and I thoroughly enjoy the '90s nostalgia of it.
Absolutely.
Like it just all the nice skin tight leather, and the glasses,
and the ridiculous, like the offensively gelled hair.
Oh yeah, like it's shimmering.
Yeah, it shines.
It's dripping almost.
Yeah, really.
It's
really gross.
Yeah. I wonder how much money they spent on just hair gel alone.
Yeah, that's a huge factor of the budget.
Yeah, but I mean, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts lately. We're making a podcast right now, and I learned that holy crap, like all the stunts that they ended up doing were pretty much real-time stuff that was made with wires.
Yeah,
but instead of mats being put down, they just hit the floor.
Yeah.
So when people actually land, they get hurt.
Yeah.
Which
that's how they do
really
it. Did
surprising.
It for a while.
Yeah. It just kind of blew me away, and I don't know where I'm going with this.
The Matrix is one of those movies it's hard for me to talk about it critically because every time I start talking about it, I just start gushing because I just think it's such a cool movie.
Yeah, and I think I missed out on that a little bit with watching it so late.
Yeah, right.
Because I can still look at it and be like, wow, that's kind of dumb.
Yeah, it hasn't aged the best.
No, not
There's
really.
some aspects of it that are a little... But, like, every time I see it, I just get in the... Well, I was born in 98. You were born in 97.
Yeah.
So, obviously, we didn't really...
Spoiler alert, I was born in 97.
Yes. We didn't really catch The Matrix the first time around, obviously.
No.
But, like, when I first saw it, it brings me back to the, like, mid-2000s.
Yeah.
I just get really nostalgic when I see The Matrix, because The Matrix was the coolest movie to me as a kid, and,
I remember I saw it for the first time, well, and every time I've seen it, I see it, and I'm like, wow, this is really cool. It's not like anything I would typically go and point at for, like, a like a piece of like a work like that you go and you pick apart and you try to dissect, because the Matrix isn't really about that, I don't think. Like I understand it has a bunch of metaphors, but it doesn't feel nearly as much of like an artistic piece.
It's a fun action movie.
It's a fun action
movie with a unique premise,
and it does that well.
In this day and age, it feels weird to call The Matrix a unique premise because everybody tried to copy The Matrix when The Matrix was done. Like, it feels so cliched now, but it's a case of The Matrix kind of invented the cliche.
Well, yeah, I mean, Matrix. Well, okay, so The Matrix was made with nothing else in U.S. being like that. It took a shitload of, like, inspiration from different anime and manga.
Right, yeah. It kind of reminds me of Ghost in the Shell. I think... Did it even come out before Ghost in the Shell?
Are you getting into Ghost in the Shell?
No.
Please don't.
There's a running joke between me and Josh. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it on anything, but... There was recently a live action remake of the Ghost in the Shell.
I didn't see it.
No, Josh didn't see it. I did. I went to go see it alone. It got pretty decent reviews. People liked it. Yeah,
really?
People liked it.
Oh.
I hated it. Like, you have no idea. I walked out. I was angry. I was seething mad. I'm like, I wish I could get that time back. I really do.
Is that the only movie you've been that upset with?
In theater, I don't often get super upset about movies in a theater because I just like the movie-going experience. Even if it's not a great movie, it's like I had a fun time. But that movie upset me so much. I walked out and I'm like, I wasted my time. I wish I hadn't seen this.
So you spent, what, $5 on a...
Yeah.
$7 on a movie ticket?
Yeah.
So you spent money on it.
Yeah.
You gave them money.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
I considered walking out. The movie hit a certain point. I'm like, I am not having a good time. I literally pulled out my phone because there was like nobody in the theater with me. I pulled out my phone. I looked at the time. I'm like, should I leave? And I never think that about movies. I saw The Legend of Hercules in the theater, the 2014 movie. I was like, no,
that's not something that should be publicly announced.
Well, I didn't go to see it. I saw it ironically. As douchey as that sounds, I went to see it ironically because we just wanted to have a good laugh.
Yeah.
And there's so many people in the theater that like they were like really enjoying it. I felt like the whole theater was silent except for a group of like teenagers just like giggling at every scene. And I didn't consider walking out on that one, even though that was atrocious.
Well, you were also with people for that one, correct?
Yes, right, yeah. I was like, I don't even feel like finishing this when I saw the Ghost in the Shell.
That's crazy.
And
that's crazy.
And people were like, it's okay. It's like the story's not great, but the visuals are cool. The action's cool. Not only are the visuals not great, the action was edited by a chimpanzee. like seriously.
So I also started watching the second Matrix movie.
Yeah, okay, we can move on. We can move on from this. We can move on
if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Because this could go on for a while. We could do an entire episode just on that with Colin alone.
Yeah. No, I'm done. We can move on.
I'm sure it'll come back sometime.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started actually watching The Matrix Reloaded, which you suggested not to.
Yeah, the Matrix sequels aren't great. They're like not bad, but they're not great.
I watched the first half because I'm watching it with my little brother right now.
Right.
And so while I was going through it, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, 1, there's no tank. 2, Dozer's gone.
Yeah.
And 3, there's no tank.
Yeah.
And then
Tank and Dozer were some great characters.
Yeah, they were, and they're just not there.
Yeah.
And now we have
and there's no like what? There's no Cypher. There's nobody.
There's Trinity. There's Neo.
Yeah.
There's Morpheus. And there's this new guy named Link who is
from Legend of Zelda.
Yes.
Yeah.
But black.
Right. Yeah. So from Legend of I don't see color.
That's right. This is a. Anyway, So the Matrix Reloaded is kind of interesting because right now, as far as I'm into it, I have about halfway through. They're in Zion,
right? Yeah, they just go to
the
Zion.
Entire movie so far, and I'm halfway through. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're in the Matrix and they're kind of going in and out of that, but the majority of it is just Zion so far.
Yeah,
and there's so many scenes that are useless.
Yeah.
Just like
in the original Matrix, like everything felt like it had a point.
Yeah, and it was fun.
Yes,
you enjoyed yourself even if it didn't have a point.
Yeah.
But in Matrix Reloaded, there was a scene where Morpheus, he goes up there and he gives a big old speech and he goes, "Ah!" And then he steps down and then everybody starts dancing. And now there's like just a random music video with people dancing on each other and nipples pointing everywhere.
Just a rave, yeah.
Yeah, for no reason.
And there was a rave in the Matrix too. I guess the Wachowskis just like raves.
I suppose.
Like
maybe they're just really into that kind of culture.
I suppose.
But it didn't need to be that. I'm watching it and I'm like, why? Why is this still happening? Because it just kept going. And it was interspliced with the rave happening, and then Trinity and Neo, spoiler alert for the first Matrix, they get together. So they're just nailing each other.
Yeah.
Real sensually. And then that went on for a really long time,
an R. Too. From what I remember about that scene, it's an R-rated movie with PG-13 sex.
Yeah, you don't see anything.
Yeah.
Which, not that I'm saying I have a problem with.
It's not a huge issue. It's just sort of like insulting. Because it's like,
I don't know about that.
I want to see Keanu Reeves. No.
All right, Colin.
Not insulting is the wrong word.
Insulting is the wrong word.
But it's like, come on.
But it's like, yeah, well, and just the way they did it, I just didn't understand the point of it. Right, and it felt like that entire scene could have been pointed, okay, they're dancing. Okay, they're going to have sex. And then the lights could go out and they could move on. But instead they decided to just draw it out into this long, pointless scene that was playing music the entire time, which I'm sure they paid a lot for.
Yeah.
But yeah, so far, I'm watching The Matrix Reloaded, and I'm enjoying some of it.
Okay.
And I'll get back to you.
Sounds good.
Now to you, Chris.
We have about 5 minutes if we want to keep this balanced. We don't have to keep it balanced, but I'd want to just talk real quickly about a movie neither of us have seen, Blade Runner 2049.
Oh, you remember when we saw Blade Runner?
Yeah.
2049?
No.
Oh.
You and I did watch Blade Runner together pretty recently, because that's another one you hadn't seen.
Yeah, and we watched it on your, 30-year anniversary DVD?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. And we actually ended up talking about, while watching the DVD version, it has lines and little blemishes that you would get on typical VHS.
Yes.
And so we ended up talking about how much I actually enjoy those little characteristics of old movies.
Imperfections of film.
And that's probably what struck me most about watching it, which is weird because
you just liked the aesthetic of the 80s film.
Yeah, and I think it just it elevated that movie to a place where I don't think it would be on a Blu-ray release.
That's really interesting that really affected your opinion of the movie because you watched it on a kind of an older DVD.
It did. I'm sure I would have said, okay, yeah, that movie's fine on a Blu-ray, but the fact that it was on a DVD and you could see those little blemishes, it brought me back, man.
Okay.
It brought me back.
Yeah, cool. And no, I don't think it was a 30-year anniversary. I think it was my dad got that DVD in the 90s, I want to say.
Oh, so it was just an old movie.
Late 90s.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but overall, I thought that movie was really quite good.
Yeah.
I don't really know what else to say about it. It's very strange, if you like strange.
Yeah, it's pretty weird, yeah.
I'm hoping they keep that kind of weirdness in 2048.
Yeah, and 2049.
2049.
I Googled 2049. I'm trying to keep away from reviews of it.
I haven't looked at anything but the first trailer.
I Googled it once to see, and the first article that came up, the title was something about it being this, chaotic, hallucinatory dream world type thing. Fun. And it's cool. So because that's kind of what Blade Runner was. It was it gets crazy by the end of the movie. It gets super surreal and weird.
There's some nuts.
Yeah.
There's some nuts in there.
We were actually, like, discussing how, like, the last, like, 30 minutes of the movie takes such a turn. Like, it just gets so crazy out of nowhere.
It goes from this laid-back sci-fi, you know, kind of
mystery,
Star Wars, but mystery detective comics type movie, just to, like, this all-out Terry Gilliam.
Yeah, it was very Terry Gilliam-esque. Yeah,
type movie.
Yeah,
and it really threw me for a loop, especially never have seen it before, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping that 2049 can kind of keep with it.
Well, we've seen there's a scene where Ryan Gosling fights Dave Bautista, so I'm hoping that it...
And you know what? I'm digging that Dave Bautista is now an actor. Like, I'm really liking him.
Yeah. I mean, he's been sort of typecast already, but
and
you know
what?
He's fun.
I'm okay with that.
Did you see Spectre?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the henchman inspector.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I enjoy that guy. I think he is... I don't think he's a great actor. I just think he's a cool dude.
Yeah. He just has fun. Yeah.
And you know what? That's all I really like to... That's all I like to do, too. Is just have a little fun.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. He relates.
You know what else I like to have...
Man.
Yes. You know what I also like to have fun with? Listening to music.
Do you?
Yeah.
But what about movies? What about music in movies?
Well,
let's have an even better segue. Let's say, what's your favorite soundtrack to a movie?
Okay.
I think ours is going to be pretty close.
Either Drive or Tron Legacy. So you can tell I have one kind of like for movie soundtracks. Those two are kind of similar.
I gotta say, Drive's soundtrack was pretty dang good.
Yes,
that would be up there in mine as well. But I was thinking more Swiss Army Man.
Yeah, Swiss Army Man. Everybody should go see Swiss Army Man because
we're gonna do a podcast on that one too, probably.
You think?
I think.
Okay. I don't know if there's a whole lot to say about it.
Maybe just A24 movies.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
What we should do is go through like. Okay, so the entire A24 filmography is actually... There's a lot of films, but it's, like, pretty manageable. Mm-hmm. It's, like, I want to say in the 40s. That's not terrible.
No, but we can definitely do that within the next year.
Yeah, what we should do is, like... Or what we could do is, like, make a weekly segment, A24 movie of the week... Just because... Okay, so, like, a little backstory. Me and Josh are massive fans of the distribution company A24. I believe they're a distribution company. Is that what you call them?
I don't know.
They don't make movies. They
support movies.
They support movies. And the movies they support are very good,
At least from all the ones we've seen, they've been phenomenal.
Yes, they have... extremely good taste in like indie movies. Yeah,
and I mean by phenomenal, I mean of course you're gonna have to have your own opinions, but
right.
I mean
to name a few, there's Ex Machina, there's Moonlight, there's Swiss Army Man, which we saw. There's The Witch. There's
American Honey,
which
we haven't seen.
There's It Comes at Night. There's Free Fire, which is pretty good. I've seen it. I would recommend you see it.
But I mean, there's a lot of really good stuff out there that they've been doing, and I'm just really excited to see more of it. So, what else? Goodness, they have another one coming out pretty soon, don't they?
A Ghost Story, or I think that already came out.
Maybe it's that. I don't know, but I'm really excited for them to keep doing stuff because everything they've touched so far that I've seen has just been some of my top movies of all time.
Honestly, there's some great ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just rewatched Swiss Army Man like a few days ago, and we showed it to a friend of ours who had never seen it, and she was just flabbergasted. I think that's the term she used. She was like flabbergasted. She didn't know what to think.
Yeah, which is understandable after seeing it.
It's such a bizarre movie.
It is. But as far as movie soundtracks go, it's probably one of my favorites.
It's great. It's
along with Guardians of the Galaxy, like the first one.
Yeah.
That's a solid soundtrack.
Yeah.
I still can't go without listening, or I still can't listen to Oh, goodness.
Hooked on a Feeling.
Hooked on a Feeling.
Yeah.
Without thinking about Guardians of the Galaxy.
Fair enough. Because it was used really well.
It was used really well. I mean, in the advertising and then also in the beginning of the film. And I mean, there's not a lot of movies that are really good at tying music into the movie that strongly. Yeah. Another one that comes to mind, which we've talked about, is Tarantino in Reservoir Dogs when they play Stuck in the Middle with You.
Yeah, I always think of that scene when I hear that song.
And so when movies can tie in music that strongly, it impresses me.
Yeah. It's always, it's just, Tarantino is pretty good at that. He's got a really good eye or an ear, I suppose, for the right song, for the right scene.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
But
I always think of Pulp Fiction when I hear Jungle Boogie by Cool and the Gang.
I mean, yeah. Ooh. I'm glad we got that on recording. So what's your new music taste?
Yeah, I wanted to start off our music segment by talking about just what we've been listening to recently.
Welcome to music segment.
Yes, music segment now. What have we been listening to recently? For me, there's two things that recently I've been doing. Last night, I was listening to Wolf Alice.
How was that?
Wolf Alice is really good.
What's their big hit?
Their big hit is probably Silk, because it was on the trailer for Trainspotting 2.
And what would you think of that song in particular?
That's a good song. And the thing about Wolf Alice is my music tastes are
bizarre,
weird, yeah. And Wolf Alice has this really nice aesthetic to it that I really enjoy. It's not the most unique or engaging sound, especially Silk. Silk is this really airy, really ethereal, atmospheric, just emo ballad kind of.
And so welcome to the Black Parade?
Sort of, but even more, I don't know. But that's just
more your style.
It's more my style, yeah. And that's the kind of thing I like. And then Wolf Alice also has, a great punk song called Yuck Fu. And they have a really nice, kind of hard rock jam called Giant Peach. And they have weird names, but no, it's all good. I really like it. They're really inspiring to me, honestly. But I'm gonna keep that to a minimum because that's a me thing. I don't know if a lot of people will be able to relate to. You know what I think people can relate to? I've been listening to Rage Against the Machine, their debut album. Last night, I was listening through it.
That's the best album they got.
That is... I was thinking about it. I've been asked, what's your favorite album of all time? And I was really thinking about it last night, and I thought, Rage Against the Machine, that's probably my favorite. I've liked a lot of albums, but that is probably the best album I've ever heard.
Solid from track 1 to track, how many?
I think 10. I don't remember. It's a decent sized album, but
it's solid from start to finish.
Yes, there's everything's good.
I mean, if you like that kind of hard rock rap, definitely something for you to look into because
if you're
it's the best.
If you're familiar with Rage Against the Machine because you heard Killing in the Name or Bulls on Parade, you should definitely, if you just know the hits, you should definitely listen to their first album because every track is a banger.
Keep in mind, it's very explicit.
Yes, it's very angry. It's very revolutionary. It's very explicit.
But it is by far the best Rage album out there.
Don't show it to grandma, but...
Unless she likes that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you never know.
Hey, my boss is over 70 years old and she still gets out of her car blaring rock.
Okay.
She's pretty BA.
I would like to think I'd be like that as a... Have you ever thought about what do the things that we listen to now, do you suppose that when you're 80 and you're still listening to music, provided you're still listening to music, if somebody gets in my car and I'm 80 and they're like a younger person, and I'm listening to Smooth Sailing by Queens of the Stone Age, they're gonna be like, "Oh, you old timer."
Probably, yes.
This is so lame. What is this, 2013?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what it'll be.
Do you think music like that's gonna, like, people look back at it in the future and are like, "Ah, oh, that's so old fashioned"?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's just weird to think, you know.
Like, if you're going to be one of the cool old guys, you'll end up, moving with the times, right?
Yeah, right.
So you'll keep picking up new music even into your 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad's done a pretty good job with that. He's into Nothing More, which is a very new band, and he's 50, almost 50.
Nah, I mean, yeah.
So I mean, just
my dad's into Haken, and he's 60.
Exactly. Speaking of both those bands, we should talk about those.
Yeah, I was thinking, if we're talking about music we've been listening to recently, you've been listening to Nothing More's new album, right? What do you think of that?
I have it in the car CD player right now, and it is really good, actually. It's not as good as their last album, I don't think, but it is going to grow on me, I would imagine, and so far it's a solid album.
Okay, yeah, I'm probably gonna give it a listen soon. I loved their last album.
Oh, it was so good. Yeah. Speaking of which, they're coming and playing on February 22nd. You want to go?
Sure.
Awesome.
I'd see that. Yeah.
I have details. I'll give them to you after the show.
Okay, sounds good.
We'll have a meetup.
Yeah.
But no, the new album is really good. I'm glad they're coming back around because I am super pumped to hear them again. Mm-hmm. I mean, we saw them once live at Northern Invasion this past year, and they just rocked the house.
Yeah, that was really good.
So the fact that they're coming back, I am more than excited. And tickets are really cheap too, so give it a look if you are listening to this.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, if you're in the Minnesota area.
And you like Nothing More.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about Haken.
Yeah.
Because that's a more modern, newer thing to me because I hadn't experienced it before.
Which is funny because Haken's not more modern than Nothing More. The album I showed you came out 2013, and I think they've been a thing since like the early 2000s. Nothing More is a little more recent.
Yeah.
Haken is a prog metal band, and I'm not really into metal.
Or prog.
I like
prog metal, I should say.
I like, well, even like I don't have a high tolerance for prog rock. I like Rush. I like Pink Floyd. I like two songs by Yes. Other than that, I don't listen to a lot of prog rock. That's just not really my thing. So the fact that there's a prog metal band that I really love is kind of amazing to me. Haken is this really epic, operatic, like...
I'm giving your love for it to the operatic part.
Yes, I think that has something to do with it. It's really, there's a lot of cool vocal stuff, and it's not metal as you would think of metal being.
Most of the time.
There's a lot of, like, weird a cappella, there's jazz.
Yeah, a nice little jazz breakdown every now and then.
There are songs that are just really they're just kind of like laid back rock, but then there's just these extremely hard hitting like metal bangers every once in a while that are it's kind of come out of nowhere.
I've actually gone back and listened to the Cockroach King, I believe it's called, a few times, which the entire music video is Muppets, but Queen.
Yeah, exactly.
Bohemian Rhapsody, that is.
Yeah, because that's a very Bohemian Rhapsody inspired track.
Yeah,
like listening to it, it's very clear they got it.
As a band, I think they're just very inspired by Queen.
Very Queen-esque. They're like the prog metal version of Queen, essentially.
Yeah, and that track, it's weird. You like at first you're just kind of like, ooh, that's funky, but I'm never one to shy away from something weird, so I went with it, and that track is just great. I love it.
Yeah, you like weird music. I was surprised the first time I'm a big fan of Modest Mouse, and one day here's how it went. One day I was like, I showed Modest Mouse to you, and you're like, this is really weird. And I was like, yeah, and then I didn't really bring it up again. Then, like, one day you're like, oh, you should play another song by Modest Mouse or something like that. And I was like, okay. And then I think I played King Rat.
Oh, yeah.
And And then like a week later, you're like,
deal.
yeah. A week later, you're like, I just bought 3 of their albums.
Yeah, I think that was it.
Yeah,
I ended up buying their EP with King Rat.
Yeah.
What's that one called?
No One's First and You're Next.
That's
yes.
right. We Were Dead Before the Ship. No, I bought that one later. I ended up buying No One's First and You're Next. A Ship in Antarctica.
What?
Antarctica.
The Moon in Antarctica.
The Moon in Antarctica.
And did you also get Good News?
And Good News for people who love bad news.
Yeah.
And I listened up to the EP a lot because No One's First and You're Next is just a solid EP.
That
from
is
start to finish again.
Very great EP.
I mean, it's 8 songs and all of them are just really good.
Yeah.
If you like Modest Mouse.
And see, not a lot of people may have heard of Modest Mouse, and if you have, you may have there are very mixed opinions about it because
you've probably heard Float On.
Yes.
If you've heard anything, go listen to it. You'll probably be like, oh yeah, that's right, that came out 8,000 years ago.
And then you're like, I thought this was by Franz Ferdinand and
Frank Coppola.
Yeah, I actually had a guy in Video Club, which is a thing. I think I'll explain it later. We were listening to Float On, and he was he's like, I thought this was by Franz Ferdinand.
All right,
because it came out quite close to Take Me Out.
Okay,
and they have 2 music videos that are like extremely similar. I'll show you a comparison at some point, but like, yeah. The Modest Mouse and Franz Ferdinand are kind of contemporaries of one another. I think Modest Mouse is the better of the 2 myself, but
yeah, I mean, I think I'd agree with that considering I listen to Modest Mouse and I don't listen to Franz Ferdinand.
Right.
So yeah, I ended up starting with No One's First and You're Next.
Yeah.
And then it moved on to Good News for people who love bad news because that entire album is also very good. You know, it has Bukowski on it and you know, a bunch of others. Float On. It was their more popular album.
Yeah, it was like their mainstream hit album.
And it was really good. As an album, it's also very solid.
Yes.
And then I moved on to Moon in the Antarctica. And that album
put you to sleep.
Might be for some.
I don't hate that album. And here's the thing. We're actually kind of going against the grain as far as like Modest Mouse fans go, because everyone loves that album.
Yeah.
You should know that. Like,
I know.
I agree with you. It's just sort of
it's just
sort of boring, you know.
Yeah,
it's
it
like
doesn't
there's nothing
have
really
a lot
super
of
interesting
stuff
about
going
it.
on.
Yeah,
it's very normal and laid back, which is not what I would want when I go in listening.
What
to Modest
you
Mouse.
like is the crazy stuff, because Modest Mouse is a very crazy band, and I should mention we just saw them live.
We did,
and it was an absurd show.
It was.
They had 3 drummers with 3 different sets playing all at once.
One of them looked about 70 years old.
Yes, and
it was pretty cool.
3 different guitarists, 2 keyboards, 1 bass,
2
1
bass
singer.
players, but 1 bass.
Yeah.
Because 2 trumpeters.
2 trumpeters. There was a cello. There was a violin.
Yeah,
it was an insane show.
There was a lot
There was
of instruments.
banjo, of course.
Oh yeah, banjo. Got to bring in the banjo.
Yeah.
But I mean, Moon in Antarctica just got boring, and then after that, you had shown me, you showed me Spitting Venom, basically.
Yes.
And that's what got me into We Were Dead Before the Ship Even Sank, which is by far my favorite album they've ever released.
I have to agree with you there. Like I used to say it was their best album. What I say now is I think objectively their best album is Lonesome Crowded West,
which I haven't listened to as much, so I don't get a whole lot of say in this.
Personally, my favorite album to listen to is probably We Were Dead Before the Ship Even Sank. There is not a single track that I dislike on there. They're all good.
Yep.
So
when we saw them live, they actually kicked off the show with a
Spitting Venom.
Really great song, Spitting Venom, and it just
anyone listening who hasn't heard Spitting Venom, you should look that up because wow,
it's a 7-minute long just jam, and it's real good. It kicks it off with this nice guitar, and then he just broke into the lyrics, and by the end of it, he was just screaming into the mic, and it was a lot of fun to kick off a concert.
He also did a thing that I've never seen ever on stage. So if you're listening and you're familiar with how electric guitars work, this might sound condescending, but like I legitimately know people who are not entirely sure that this is how it works. There's those little bars underneath the strings, and that picks up the sound from the strings and amplifies it.
And they're called
pickups. So what Isaac does, the lead singer of Modest Mouse, during a guitar solo, he just puts the guitar to his face and he screams into the pickups.
And it was
his
coolest thing.
His voice gets the guitar distortion and it comes through the speakers and it sounded amazing.
It was really cool. I really want to see more people do that.
Yeah.
Just because I was very impressed.
That was amazing.
Yeah. I don't even remember what song it was during. All I remember is that just stuck out.
Yeah, I don't remember. I think it was during Tiny Cities Made of Ashes.
Okay.
Because they did a lot with that song, which is actually off of The Moon in Antarctica.
Yeah. That's probably why I didn't remember it. But yeah, by far the thing that stole the show for me, that was probably second place. But the thing that really stole the show was when they came out and they played King Rat live.
Oof, yeah, that was great.
There isn't a whole lot of songs off of Modest Mouse albums that I listen to that I'm like, wow, this would be good live.
Yeah.
And King Rat is definitely one of them where I didn't think it would be good live because just the amount of instruments.
It's such a studio song.
Yeah, it's very well put together at a studio.
And there's so much stuff going on.
Yeah, so having it be live, I thought it would just be a jumbled mess.
Yes, but they had 9 people on stage, so they were more than equipped to do a song like that.
Definitely, but I mean, it was missing little things here and there, sure, but wow, they kicked it out of the park.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would say you should go see them live. It was a lot of money for something that a lot of people aren't into.
Yeah.
But if you're a fan of Modest Mouse and you like some of the albums I was listing off earlier, you go ahead and see them. I mean, it was a really fun show.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of, I kind of have 3 bands to talk about. But I'll start with the one that's most relevant to Modest Mouse, and that is there's a band that opened for Modest Mouse called Mass Gothic. Mm-hmm. I really like Mass Gothic. I was actually just listening to Mass Gothic before you got here.
Electronic dream pop?
Sort of. I don't know if I'd call it dream pop per se, but it's like weird electronic, like moody, mopey rock.
Fair enough.
It's so exactly the kind of thing I like.
When we went to Modest Mouse, neither of us thought there was going to be an opening act,
right?
Because nothing really said it until we looked it up at the last second.
I looked in essentially the fine print on the website, and it's like featuring Mass Gothic, and I'm like, oh, okay.
And it was really weird because we're out there, we're just waiting forever for Modest Mouse to come on, and then all of a sudden these random people come up, and it looks kind of like they're just checking equipment. And then they just start playing. Yeah. And it wasn't, I don't know, it's not really my type of music. So this is a lot more Colin's area of expertise.
The thing that
But it was pretty cool. Yeah. Like, I enjoyed it. I don't know if I would enjoy, like, studio versions, but I just enjoy live shows, so I think that made it better for me.
They put on a great live show. And I was just going to say that the thing that will probably make trying to do this podcast interesting is how me and Josh have very different tastes in music. We come together on certain things like Red Hot Chili Peppers and Modest Mouse. So we're kind of like Soundgarden too. But Josh really likes metal and hard rock. That's not really my scene.
Oh, I like a lot of stuff,
and
man.
I really like psychedelic dream pop. That's my scene.
Thing ranges. I like to circle rock.
Yeah.
I like to take big old chunks of rock and just listen to them.
Yep.
Classic rock, even like
you've been really into classic rock recently.
Yeah,
like
40s like rock and pop.
Yeah,
that's a fun time. Jazz. Speaking of jazz, Big Bad Voodoo Daddy.
Ooh, they're good.
We should talk about them sometime. They're a good jazz swing bang. Go listen to them.
Yeah, we'll save that for another time. But yeah. Anyway, we saw Mass Gothic live. They're very good. Go check them out if you get the chance.
They sounded really good live. The drummer was awesome. I love that guy. He was
I love the guitarist
all over
too.
The place.
Like the guitarist did the kind of the big men's thing where he just had like crazy effects and just like.
Okay, you're gonna need to explain. Big men's now.
That's actually even on my list.
All right.
Not only have I made a short film, which is terrible, I was in a band, which was not terrible.
Wow, that was a question mark if I ever heard one.
Yeah. I was in a band called Big Men's, and it's no longer a thing. I'm still doing musical projects.
Look it up on Spotify.
Yes, look it up. It is actually on Spotify. It's
Invisible Hands.
Big Men's.
That's a track.
Well, that's not on Spotify. There's only one song on Spotify.
Dang it.
And it's...
They have a song called Invisible Hands. Look it up on YouTube.
Yes. Yep, there's YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, and our only song we put on Spotify is our only professionally produced song. It was mastered by Eric Paulson, lead singer of Remo Drive, if that means anything to you. I always
forget the name of this one.
It's because it has a bad name. It's this song isn't about you, I promise, and I promise is in parentheses.
Right.
That was the idea of our singer, and we had a massive falling out with our singer, and I'm not going to get into it right now, but I never liked that name, and none of us liked that name, but she was very insistent on it.
It kind of reminds me of the song You're So Vain.
Yes.
You probably think this song is about you.
Yeah.
Was it heavily inspired by that?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
But anyway, speaking of Big Men's, though, we should definitely stop here to promote, yours and Abe's stuff.
Yes,
Look at Big Men's.
There's Abe.
Try to follow Abe Anderson on Facebook, SoundCloud.
I don't know if he's on SoundCloud. Abe Anderson was the lead guitarist
YouTube?
of Big Men's, and he's doing a solo project where he plays all the instruments, and that guy's insanely talented. So go check it out.
Yeah, go check him out. He's got some really cool stuff out there. What was the one that he released on Facebook? Muffy?
Muffy. He did two that Muffy, and his second single was called Hopeless Attitude. I really like Hopeless Attitude. Muffy's good.
I haven't heard that one yet,
okay,
but I liked Muffy.
Yeah.
So yeah, go check him out. I'm sure Colin will be releasing more stuff when he can, and we'll definitely promote that when it comes.
October 7th, I'm playing a show with a college house band. So also, I'm still doing stuff, but I'm not gonna have any recorded songs out for a while.
Also, keep an ear out for Sage. I don't know you, Sage man,
Livergood.
But if you're listening to this,
Sage Livergood, the coolest drummer I've ever met.
He seems like a really cool dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. He's look at Nice with three eyes and a period. NIIISCE. That's currently the members are Sage Livergood, the former drummer of Big Men's, Abe Anderson, the former guitarist of Big Men's, and then Roddy Gadeberg, who has always been the singer of Nice, and Allegra Hernandez, who's always been the guitarist of Nice. But they've had a recent shift because events happened.
Yeah, so now we got our man Abe and your man Nice, Sage playing in Nice.
Nice is now like a great super group, like a combination of Big Men's and Nice. It's really good.
So yeah, go check them out if you get a chance.
Absolutely. I should link this in the description too.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, moving on from that, that's just a little backstory for me personally, me being Colin.
Yeah.
I'm in the music scene somewhat, so I have a little bit of credence to talk about music, just a little.
And I just like to play and listen to music on my own time.
Yep. And you're a guitarist too. I should mention I'm a bassist.
I play just a little bit of everything, not incredibly well.
You play a little guitar, you play a little bass, you play a little trumpet.
And piano.
Yeah.
And trombone.
You're jack of all trades.
And pan flute.
I'm stuck.
And ocarina.
Right, yeah.
I have an ocarina.
Nice.
I should bring that onto the show sometime.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm stuck in the bass clef. I only play...
I don't know. You've been shifting to guitar a little bit.
That's true. I play a little bit of guitar, but like I play bass primarily, and I play the tuba.
Yeah. He's a tuba man.
Yeah.
Dude, this guy rocks the tuba like nobody I know.
Yeah.
That's because I don't know a whole lot of tuba players.
But speaking of music we have personal connections to, we're going to a concert on October 14th, and I've never been more pumped for a concert in my life. It's Queens of the Stone Age, and their opener is Royal Blood.
Yeah,
that's
so excited.
That's gonna be crazy good.
Royal Blood has been like one of my top bands for a long time.
They're one of my favorite up and coming bands.
Definitely.
It's fun watching their rise to fame because they're so good.
Yeah, when their first album Darker Than Black came out, go check it out.
Darker Than Black.
Sorry, that was their single. My bad.
The single was...
what am I thinking?
You're thinking of the anime Darker Than Black.
Am I?
Yeah, there's an anime called Darker Than Black.
Check it out. It's the best thing I've ever... I've
their
never
first
seen it.
album was self-titled, and the like hit single, like the first single was
What's it called?
Out of the Black.
Out of the Black.
Name of it.
That's
so,
what I'm thinking of. Go check out Out of the Black.
Guys,
the music
guys,
video.
we really like Royal Blood. Trust me.
I'm gonna leave. But Out of the Black, it has a phenomenal music video, very well produced, and it's just a great song.
Yes.
Go really check it out if you haven't already heard it.
Go, like, if there's like a laundry list of Royal Blood songs that I'd love to recommend. There's
Loose Change,
Careless,
Darker Than Black,
Better Strangers, Darker Than Out of the Black,
Little Monsters.
Yeah,
it's
a
just
lot of really good tracks.
Just go listen to the first Royal Blood album. It's really good. You'll enjoy it.
And their second one is also good. I feel like I like it a little more than you.
I think so. I like it less than the first album.
Fair enough. And I listening to it, I can see why. I think what I like about it is it sounds a little more varied. They get keyboard in one song. That's nice. If you don't know Royal Blood, the gimmick of the band is it's a 2-piece and it's just bass and drums.
Yeah,
and the bass does
really well.
They do some crazy effects on the bass.
Oh, and vocals, of course.
And
the
vocals,
bassist
right?
sings.
Yeah.
But it's very, very well done and very well put together for just two guys doing it.
Yes.
And so it really threw me off when I found out it was just two guys.
Right, yeah.
And now that they've released their new album with their hit single Lights Out, which has the best drum solo I've ever heard, go listen to it. We're not even going to spoil that one.
Yeah.
It's a really
honestly,
good single.
We make fun of that drum solo a lot, but I like it.
I did too.
Because it's the joke behind it. Okay,
what I won't
spoil it.
Like if they want to know, they'll go listen to it. It's a 3-minute long song. They can figure it out.
But I'm almost more excited for Queens of the Stone Age.
You know what? You say that, but I've been a bigger fan of Royal Blood than I have been of Queens of the Stone Age. Yeah. So originally I was just like all for Royal Blood. As soon as I saw that they're coming to Minnesota, I'm like, I'm gonna go see them.
Right.
And I didn't care that Queens of the Stone Age was on there, except for the fact that I know one song.
But then you probably figured you should look up Queens of the Stone Age.
Well, it wasn't even that. I mean, by that time you and Abe were already getting into it, so I had heard some stuff, right?
Yeah.
I knew 2 songs. So I knew 3s and 7s.
Yeah.
And I knew
No One Knows.
No One Knows from Guitar Hero.
Whichever one had No One Knows.
I'm so bad at this because 1 and 2 always get mixed up to me.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was 3.
It wasn't 2 because I played a lot of 2.
Anyway, because of Guitar Hero, I knew No One Knows. And that song just has stuck with me for a very long time as being my favorite Queens of the Stone Age song, even though I only knew 2.
Yeah, and it's probably one of my least favorite Queens of the Stone Age songs, which is how it always goes with these bands, Like
kind of, yeah.
When I first started listening to Modest Mouse, I was like, "Ooh, Float On, such a great song," and now it's just like they have so many better songs, and it's the same with Queens of the Stone Age. No One Knows isn't a bad song, but it's very repetitive. It's not very imaginative.
No.
It's a good radio hit.
But
they have some great songs.
They do. And I've actually been working really hard to try to listen to more of it.
Yeah.
I went out and bought Songs for the Deaf.
Yeah. And then we listened to the whole thing.
And the Mosquito song?
The Mosquito song.
That song is awesome. I love that song. It's one of my new favorites.
It's like weird bonus track, but it was really good.
Yeah, it really was. And I mean, there's other songs on there that are really good too, but I haven't been listening to them because I've been on Nothing More lately. But I plan on getting back into it. And then after that album, I was going to move to the new one that just was released, Villains. And listen to that album, even though you've stated that that's not really your favorite.
Yeah, it's not as bad as some people would lead you to believe. A lot of people are really upset about Mark Ronson's production.
Okay.
Because, and the complaints are legitimate. I think the songwriting's pretty on point for the album, but Mark Ronson's production kind of sucks the life out of the Queens of the Stone Age sound. It sounds kind of poppy, like even though the songs don't sound like pop songs, it doesn't have a lot of bite to it,
Now, without listening to anything but their hit off of it, my own personal experience with that album is that I think that kind of sound is actually bringing in a lot of people to start listening to Queens of the Stone Age.
Could be, yeah.
Because, I mean, just from my dad, who's, almost 50 years old, he actually picked up and he bought the single off of the new Queens of the Stone Age, and he hated Queens of the Stone Age.
He hates Queens.
Well,
you and my dad, we have such different. No, that's the exact opposite of what I was trying to say. Jeez, me and your dad have such differing tastes in everything. It's true.
I mean, let's not talk about movies. Okay, and my dad, because even I don't like him and his movie taste. But as far as music go, he has a lot of music that I enjoy. Yeah, he's the guy who introduced me to Nothing More.
Okay,
which is kind of weird if you think about, some 50-year-old guy finding Nothing More and then being like, hey, here's a cool band. Yeah. And then, it actually is like this amazing band. Yeah. But my dad's kind of known for that, at least in my world. But then as far as music goes, he doesn't like to stretch out very much. He likes to stay to his rock and metal. And that's it. And that's how you know me, because that's, what I'm around a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to test different things. Meanwhile, he's not. And that's what frustrates you.
Yeah, I suppose. There's a specific movie that I'm not even going to mention
No, we're not talking movies.
Yeah. Well, okay, but we're going to talk about that movie eventually, of course. But not now. For the sake of we're already on music and we're running out of time, if we want to keep this to an hour, we might stretch it out a little bit.
We'll see.
In fact, it's over an hour already, but
that's fine.
That's cool. We can keep going. Kind of a smash transition, but I want to talk about Jeff Rosenstock.
Oh, dude, Jeff Rosenstock. I haven't listened to a lot of his stuff, and I really regret saying that, but I love everything I've heard.
Yeah, it's super good.
Nausea. You just sent me a Snapchat
the other day
that just said nausea, and I'm like, I know what he's talking about. Yeah. And so, of course, I started sending back lyrics, and it's just a really good song with a really, really neat music video. And that's one of my favorite songs that I've been listening to quite a bit lately, along with what's that other song that he had that I just went crazy over?
Is it Blast Damage Days or Wave Goodnight to Me?
Wave Goodnight to Me.
Right.
Oh, Wave Goodnight to Me is so good. I love it. Once again, the music video is really fun.
Yeah, he does great music videos. He does. Like, they're really funny. I really like his sense of humor. He reminds me
of like a better Seth Rogen.
Sort of.
He kind of looks like that.
He's got a lot of comedy to what he does.
Yeah. And Blast Damage Days, that's a good one too. Like, that one's just really fun. I haven't listened to that one as much, but...
And speaking of bands that we've seen live, I've seen Jeff Rosenstock live. Josh hasn't, and I'm gonna take you next time he's around this area because man, that's a fun show.
Same thing with Wolfpack. I really want to see Wolfpack as well.
Oh yeah, Wolfpack is a great funk band. We don't have time to talk about it right now, but I
will look them up.
Look up Wolfpack. I was actually gonna say, I would say Modest Mouse is the craziest show I've ever seen, like energy wise. If it weren't for Jeff Rosenstock, because that is the most insane show.
Right.
He has so much live energy. It's insane. I was so hyped watching him perform. I actually dived into the mosh pit, and I don't do that very often. I don't do that ever.
No, I've never thought that you'd be one to get into a mosh pit.
Yeah.
Well, and of course...
But it's the fun mosh pit. Because his type of music, it's punk, but it's like pop punk, I suppose. It's really upbeat. Like the lyrics
don't go by genres. Just look up the band.
Yeah, it's not.
It's good.
It's not. It's under the umbrella of punk, but it's not like most punk that I've heard. It's very upbeat. Like, it's very fun, very energetic, and like the mosh pit. I always say, mosh pits are really hit or miss for me. If you're at like a metal show, it's like a big fight. And I'm not really into that. But a mosh pit for Jeff Rosenstock is people just like jumping around, like it's just like it's fun,
I've been in a few that are like that, and those are really fun when you got good music and
when you're not getting like punched in the
when
spine,
you're not being hurt,
like
it's a good time.
If the mosh pit doesn't hurt, then it's just really hype because like you're just part of this like mass of bodies that are just like so energetic, and you're just like enjoying the music, and you're just like bumping around. You know, it's like
no,
cool. It's fun time.
They can be really fun if done correctly. And I mean, I'm not saying that you're doing it incorrectly at metal shows, beating people up, but when I'm listening to music at a live show, I typically want to listen to the live show and not be knocked out.
Yeah, exactly.
Is my thing.
I'll try telling that to Mark.
Well, Mark or Justin, you know, there's a lot of people that really enjoy that kind of stuff.
We should get Mark and or Justin on an episode of this show.
Sure.
That'd be kind of fun.
I'm sure they'd both
if we
be down
wanted to
for
talk
it.
about metal, and I can sit in the corner and just kind of
and just like nod off.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we've had this is pretty fun, and I want to keep doing this.
I'm really happy with how this went.
One closing thing, and this might have been a mistake to make this the closing thing, because this might not be the chord I want to leave this on, but it's important to talk about. I want to talk about Tom Petty for a while.
Understandable.
If anybody's listening to this like a few years in the future, you may not know why this is relevant, but Tom Petty just died just yesterday, and I really love his music. I'm not gonna like make this a big deal, because I think people, when a celebrity dies, people tend to make it about themselves. You know, I love Tom Petty, and it's sad that he went. He was relatively young. He was just in his 60s. You know, so like I said, probably a bad note to end it on, but that deserves to be mentioned. Like, he had a great career. He was an excellent musician.
Also, you know, look him up.
Yeah.
You know, listen to his stuff. If you can, try to, you know, support his family in a friendly way, not intrusive.
Yes.
But otherwise, just, you know, keep him in your head.
Yep. And that's really all I have to say about that. And I think we're over an hour, but that's okay, because this was fun.
It was fun.
We should close, I suppose.
All right. Well, I guess this has been me, Josh, and
me, Colin,
and we have made a podcast.
Yep, we don't even have a title for it yet, but I'm sure we'll figure it out.
Movies and Music with Josh and Colin.
Yes, excellent.
And title. Multimedia.
Oh yeah.
We're the tape company.
Yes. Yeah. It's funny, we just behind the scenes, literally right before I hit record, Josh was like, we should call ourselves 3M, because we're doing multimedia, and 3M is the name of a company.
That's right.
Oh no.
We've gone and ruined it.
Okay, there's a phone call.
Just wait before you stop it.
Oh. It's done.
Oh. Okay. Well, I guess let me finish closing it out then.
Yeah.
As far as names for this podcast go, we don't really have one. We plan on getting one.
Yep.
I still think 3M's great. I'm gonna go sue the company 3M and try to get it for myself.
Get the copyright.
But in the future, this show, I'm hoping, will be more than just movies and music.
Oh no. More than just movies and just talk over it. Just ignore it. More than just movies and music.
It's going to extend more out into personal lives, and then even go into different things like video games and activities, and basically just anything we really want it to be.
Yeah, it's a life podcast.
Yeah.
But music and movies are a huge part of our lives,
so we decided that's what it's going to be centered around.
Exactly. I'm a active musician and aspiring filmmaker, so it's a huge part of my life.
And I personally want to get into art, whether that be for video games, music videos,
so we need to talk about that too. If we ever talk about that, I want to get Thomas on, because you two are artists. I'm not really an artist myself.
Definitely, we'll do that sometime. But otherwise, this has been Thomas. Oh no! This has been Colin and Josh signing off on their very first podcast, which has gone fantastic. If you can't tell, if you're still here, good job. I give you props, brownie points. See y'all on the next one.
See you around.